the fisherman, the farmer. Lift Tobago, lift Tobago.
Let us pray. Oh God and our Father, we thank you for another session. We thank you for your goodness towards us. We ask your blessing on the proceedings tonight. We ask that you will touch the speakers, touch those that are here with us, those that would be viewing us far and wide. We pray that you'll give us good success, that the message will resonate with the viewers and listeners, and that we would all get to the top of the hill together. We give you praise and thanks for your goodness towards us in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Have your seats, everybody. Well, welcome to another PDP workshop event. We give God thanks and praise for being alive. Our mental faculties are intact. We have the articulation of our limbs and our speech. And we have come to dramatize conditions in Tobago for yet another session. Could you make a good PDP noise in the room this evening? We continue with our discourse. We continue on our campaign to fix Tobago. And we waste no time. We have a battery of speakers here this evening that will share different things with us. Taking the podium first is a lady who just a few days ago, in my view, had one of the most psychedelic birthday celebrations ever seen on the planet. She's perhaps one of the hardest working official this side of the hemisphere. Could you put your hands or your feet together and help us welcome to the podium Lady Zorisha Hackett.
I know everybody like we, still we irie. Cause we no love likes, in a dancehall style. I know everybody like we, still we irie. Cause we no love likes, no, and every time I write, we do it for the love, we not do it for the likes. Do it for the love, we not do it for the likes. Do it for the love, we not do it for the likes.
Spartans, good night. Tobago, good night. Trinidad and Tobago and the world at large, good night. You know, everybody does tune in to watch the workshop. So we have to big up the whole world. I came here tonight to talk to you about something, Tobago. Something I have been thinking about for a while. Something you have been thinking about for a while. Something we all have been thinking about for a while. But we just can't find a way to articulate it. I think I want to attempt to articulate it tonight. You all allowing me to do that? What is this something? It is this uneasy feeling that Tobagonians from all walks of life, even those committed to supporting the other side, have deep down in their stomachs, deep down in the very pits of the soul, that for all that has transpired over the last 21 years, for all the money that has been spent, for all the buildings that have been built, and for all the rhetoric that the PNM have used to celebrate their mediocrity time and time again, it has just been a game of smoke and mirrors. Nothing with any real substance behind it. Now you see that word, substance? Whole day are looking for a suitable meaning for it. And the one I come up with, the one I like the most is the most important or essential part of something. The real or essential meaning to something. You realize the word essential is repeated. So, how do we know when something is essential? Because, without it, everything you're trying to do, not go work, right? That is what essential mean. It's important. So tonight, let we have a little chat about some of the things that now work on this island. Some of the things Tobagonians no need fixing. Some of the mediocre policies and projects that those on the other side will be coming in your ears in the next few weeks to boast about. Let we go. So the PNM has built a hospital. All you know the big spread out massive hospital in Signal Hill are talking about, right? All right. Boasted about the fact that it was supposed to be state of The Act aim at improving patient services and their quality of care, aimed at the retention of staff through the provision of suitable working and attractive remuneration packages. Yet, our experiences over this past year especially have told us that except for the building, the fancy building, yes, the big macro building up there in Signal Hill, any commitment to actually changing the culture of healthcare on this island is not something the PNM truly cares about. A lie? And how do we know? Let me ask you some questions. When I go in the hospital, how all of us feel? Sometimes you just feel it's better you stay home, eh? You're waiting whole day up there, right? How many TRHA employees continuously complain about their working conditions? The fact that their contract's not up to par. The fact that their gratuity hasn't been paid. Healthcare working on this island? Oh. The big spread out piece of infrastructure doesn't make you feel any different about healthcare, right? Right. Big building, no substance. Let me go again. The People's National Movement have built a big, massive financial complex with us, call it the Victor E. Bruce building, Scarborough. And if you look at it, you think it was a symbol of change in the way they approach dealing with finances. And that's true though. And people still being paid late on this island. And businesses still being crippled by invoices which aren't being honored until many months later. And the Auditor General's reports on how the THA handles finances any better than they were before the building was built? Oh, are we getting better value for money on this island? Or then clearly, not from the examples given above, have we improved when it comes to finance on this island. But we do have a big, fancy building in the middle of Scarborough. Big, nice sign, but none of it represents anything. It's just bigness and no substance. Let me go again. There is this place in Tobago called the Cove. The idea behind it was to create an industrial estate to stabilize Tobago's languishing economy. At present, it has only 3 tenants, which is not enough to diversify the island's economy. But of course, it's big, it's spread out. It was expensive to build, it is expensive to run, and we see they're giving away land like they're going crazy down there now. But as usual, behind all of that, what we don't have? Substance. So it just sits there. Yet another part of the PNM's game of smoke and mirrors, devised to fool you into thinking that they're serious about development. Let me go again. The PNM has built that big, I like to call it the water tank, in Shaw Park, at a cost of almost $1 billion. All you know that, right? With cost overrun after cost overrun before it was finished. It was touted at the Tobago equivalent of Napa. And everybody was excited about it. All you remember that? Okay. How can anyone say that art and culture has changed to the better in Tobago? Can you say that? Are artists better trained? Are artists better able to earn a massive income? Are artists being given more opportunities to exposure? But just now, pause. And now remember, they suddenly start up with something, T-Pack, right, T-Pack. But given the PNM's track record of failure when it comes to development outside of big buildings, I will implore you to wish them well, but don't hold your breath in expectation of substance. Of course, after saying all of that, I'm sure you all might be wondering, why does the PNM continue to spend all this money behind buildings that represent ideas they do not believe in and never intend to follow them through? Well, when you have a political organization only focused on winning elections and not truly focused on bringing this island up to par with the development we see across the waters, then we would get exactly what we're seeing now. A failure to highlight what they've accomplished over 21 years of governance, and an unhealthy obsession with Watson and Farley, both of whom are yet to sit in the seat of governance. Every day we turn on with TV, Farley, Watson, PSA. Tobago, substance or not? So here we are at the cusp of yet another election, One where the PNM is going to come to you asking for another opportunity to govern. Even when after 21 years at the helm, where it is plain for all who have eyes to see that they have no new ideas, they are willing to just dress anybody in a red t-shirt and send him or her to your doorsteps with the message that he or she will be different from those who have gone before them. Ally? And that is what happening right now? And they're coming to beg for a chance to prove that they will try to change the way things are done in their party. And they're coming to ask you for another chance because somehow they're going to be different. But for those who understand how that party functions, these newbies are wasting their time because the last man who tried to make some kind of difference had to unceremoniously package Georgie Bongo from Lowlands and head back to Black Rock. When they come to you asking to give them the benefit of the doubt that they would bring something different and new to the table, like my good pan man friend up in Golden Lane, I want you to ask them if they think they're bigger than a whole chief secretary who, after boasting and proving, trying to prove he would be a fresh face with a fresh start, had to pack up shop like everybody else. A 60-something-year-old political organization is bigger than any man or woman trying to change it. And we know that. If they could run a whole chief secretary, who is you? So Tobago, for all the fanfare over the last 21 years, for all the celebrations of themselves, all the money they have spent, for all the bigness, there was never any real commitment on the part of those on the other side to truly follow up with the policy changes that would actually make the money that was spent to be used for you, to be used for me, to be used for all of us here on this island. So we sit here in a Tobago that has not fundamentally changed in 21 years, except for a few big buildings and a few fancy signs. A Tobago with no substance. But all of that begs the question, why were they never truly serious about this island's development? Why? Because the PNM never believed. The PNM never believed in you. The PNM never believed in me. The PNM never believed in the Tobago dream. The PNM has just been there producing smoke and mirrors. But you see this dream, ladies and gentlemen? You see the fulfillment of this dream? This is what the Progressive Democratic Patriots offers. The Progressive Democratic Patriots, I want to hear Elena because we're offering something big. This is what the Progressive Democratic Patriot offers. This dream started with one man, and I like to say it, under street light and a bullhorn. Talking, and you know when you have a big dream, everybody just think you're crazy. Oh God, pie in the sky. He mad. He alone out there. One man, 2015. 11 others joined by 2017. A queen by his side in 2020. 11 others again at his side, 2021. And here we are. 15 Spartans about to go into battle once more. 15. Same man they find crazy with a big dream. The same big dream Robinson had. The same big dream Murray had. And if we go before him, the same big dream APT James had. And before him, the same big dream Big Heart had. And let me tell you, the same big dream every slave crossing that Atlantic Ocean coming to a new territory had. Watson Solomon Duke. And we had to learn to big up with political leader. We had to big up. And let me tell you, you see how them does big up their political leader? He could say what he want. They have an excuse him. We have to love and big up a political leader. Right? And so tonight, I want to tell you that this Tobago dream can only be fulfilled by those who have the political will to do so. Those on the other side have just run out of ideas. Wasting time right now. Wasting time. This became even more apparent after January 25th. Tobagonians voted for 12. 12. Every electoral district chose someone to represent their electoral district. And you cannot have a circumstance where you have 6 inside, and as the young people say, 6 outside. You can't have that. And we have seen what the PNM have done to this island when it comes to how you truly share resources. And we see the political leader, somebody reminded me of some clip she boasted about on a platform in January. Only those districts where PNM candidates were successful, right, would be able to share in the resources of the island. Only those people would be able to give their district the share of the Tobago pie. That could ever make sense? That could ever be right? No substance, right? And so tonight, just like the political leader, Mr. Watson Solomon Duke, just like our deputy political leaders, Dr. Faith B. Israel, Mr. Fali Augustine, who is our chief secretary designate, just like Natisha Charles Fantin, just like Pastor Terry Baines, just like Sonny Craig, just like Joel Sampson, Nutsi Sampson, just like Ian Whitey Pollard, just like Megan Morrison, just like Abby Taylor, just like Wayne Wasp Clark, who I'm forgetting, I don't want to forget nobody, you know. Just like, that's the man at the moment, I ain't ready for he yet. Oh gosh, just like Nigel Mighty Man Tato State. How I gonna forget he? That the upset man. Who else I forgetting, boy? Just like the man I was born in Barrick with, leave Plymouth and went up to Montgomery with, who dropped everything he was doing to walk that district with me side by side. And then when I done, I said, listen, I need a field officer who understand the ground. Somebody to be with me in that district office to ensure I stay focused, to never lose sight of why I started this in the first place. I said, hey, I want you with me. And he came as my field officer. And every step of the way I had to trod, he was right there like a brother. Tonight, Spartans, I want to introduce you to a humble man, a hard-working man, an honest man, a man who had his fair share of struggles but never allowed any obstacle to keep him back. A man who said, you know what? I was in a political organization and we shared the same dream to get rid of the PNM in Tobago. It didn't work out there. But I want to join the team that I see has Tobago's best interests at heart. I'm taking off the blue and I'm putting on the black. Tonight, I want to introduce to you my friend, my brother. He was my classmate. He was my village mate, and now he's a part of the Spartan family, Mr. Niall George.
PDP victory, the road now run the journey rough. We foot strong and our whiskey tough. So many that's a big Jonatas. Real Spartans never give up. Yeah. The winds of change blowing your way. Bust off those chains.
Good night, Spartans. Good night, Tobago. Good night, Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Niall George. I was born to a mother, Pearl Almond George of Plymouth, and a father from Speyside, Jules George, deceased. May his soul rest in peace. I consider myself a humble man, a genuine man, a community man, and a true servant leader in every aspect. If you're looking for a grown man, you just find him. My major community involvement began at the tender age of 18 with the Plymouth Heroes All Fours Club, where my leadership skills were quickly recognized, allowing me to be elevated to club captain within 2 years of joining that establishment. Trusted to lead and ably followed by people more than 30 years my age. So that speaks to the kind of leadership skills that I possess. I also served as a player and later on as a manager of Stokely Vale Football Club. When our club was falling on the wayside, 3 players in Phoenix, 3 3 players in Bethel, and Stokelyville suffering. I said to myself, Niall, that is not the way Plymouth needs to go. That talent belongs to here, it grew here, and it needs to work for here. I called them fellas together. I said, hey, all you're born here, and it's Stokelyville that represent. They look at me and they said, Niall, we ain't like how things going. We only coming back here if you manage the club. I said, folks, if that is what it takes for my community to rise again, for my football club within my community to rise again, it shall be done. But if all over there could tell you what happened next. Not that year, sir. We won with 5 games this year. My community involvement did not end there. In terms of football, I went to coach the Bethesda Primary School. Looking at the youth, I couldn't help. It was time consuming and they hardened, but I loved them, so I had to do it. I was also a part of the village council. Anything based on positive, Niall George is a willing participant. Now, I am here to talk about 2 things today. 2 things. One, and it is a peeve to me, which is representation. And when I say representation, I mean proper representation. And I don't mean electing officials for them to neglect you, and then 3 months before election again, they're busy fixing things left, right, and center. That is not a 3-month job. That is a 4-year job under the THA. We live in a democratic state, and democracy states a government of all the people, led through representatives. Let me get that straight here. Through representatives, not by representatives. I believe in participatory democracy, and therefore each and every citizen's opinion must count. And that is why you could have seen 6 elected assemblymen from the PDP and 6 candidates that lost the election that remained on the ground. Now we have a model in Plymouth Golden Lane, which I'm a key cog in. And if you expect, and that type of representation is what we should expect throughout Tobago. And I am here to say to you, in the new Plymouth Blackrock seat, if you choose Niall George, that is exactly the type of representation you will get. My second topic for tonight is the inclusiveness of the Progressive Democratic Patriots. And I can safely say it because I am a living example. As Zia just said, in the year 2017, I was a candidate for Plymouth Golden Lane with the Tobago Forwards. I ran against Mr. Curtis Douglas and Miss Marisha Osman. I was not successful. That's not a problem because the people chose, and I believe in democracy. And I'm saying to each and every one, each and every Tobagonian, there is a place on board the Progressive Democratic Patriots for you. I'm going to say it again. There is a place in the Progressive Democratic Patriots for you. So all Tobagonians, I'm going to be brief tonight because tonight is not really the night for me to shine. Tonight is the night for me to introduce myself to you all. So I will say it again, all Tobagonians, let us band together and let me fix this. I say it again, all Tobagonians, let me band together and let me fix this. PDP Spartans, let me fix this. Disgruntled Piedmontmites, let me fix this. First-time voters, let me fix this. Dissatisfied Tobagonians, let me fix this. And on December 6th, when you go to the polls, don't even worry about the name. Just look at the slate. All 15 are we great. Get your X next to the bamboo bully fee. Thank you and good night.
PDP victory, the road now run the journey rough. We foot strong and our whiskey tough.
Let's make some noise for Niall George, man.
Real Spartans never give up.
Oh, sir.
The winds of change.
I'm telling you.
Blowing your way.
The driver, PDM. I think I forgot it. PDM. You got through? What kind of thing is this? But listen. I just want to take 1 minute and reiterate what Niall said in the closing there about the inclusiveness of the PDP. Because I myself am a political proselyte as well. You understand? But the PDP is what you call a Tobago political umbrella. And those of us that have been affected by the rain and the storms of the PNM leadership for the past 21 years can find shelter and safely under the umbrella of the PDP. Ladies and gentlemen, I deem myself a very privileged man. I get hyper excited sometimes. You all must pray for me. I have the honor of introducing our next chief secretary in this space we call Tobago. Lord, I thought I would have get some more noise than that. I want you to understand that I am dripping with gratitude that I have been afforded this sublime privilege to introduce the man from Speyside. The man they say countryman can run tongue. We go see after the 6th of December. Help me welcome from Speyside, Mr. Farley Chavez Augustine.
We got I'm holding on in order to stay around in a life therapy imbalance. For it is nature's way until judgment day. Weakness ain't got a chance. Playing strong cause I realize
PDP family, good night. With the kind of crowd. Yes. Well, I guess I get in the new name, Dr. Mashup now. But with the kind of crowd I see here tonight, it means nobody down in Shaw Park Cultural Complex for whatever launch they're having down there tonight. It means everybody here. And to be here on a Sunday evening after you had a healthy dose of your good Sunday lunch and you feel like you should just lie down and rest tells me that you are serious about business, Tobago. And that whether it's Sunday or it's Monday, you are ready to work to deliver Tobago from the hands of those that have oppressed you. And so Tobago, tonight, I come to remind you that you better be ready. Tonight, we are going on the theme of substance over hype. Because you could hype up a people for so long. After a time, all the hype will run out. You could hype we up for so long. We have been hyped up since 2001. Since 2001, we were hyped up into believing that there was something better than we had at that time. And since 2001, every single election cycle, we believe in yet again. We're giving them a next chance. And that's the thing about Tobagonians, we're so loving and forgiving. We like to give chances upon chances. But this wrongs, we are voting for ourselves. We ain't giving anybody a chance but Tobago a chance. Because this is the time and the chance for Tobago to win. There must be substance over hype. And if I had time, I will read out all the promises they have given to us in every single election cycle over the last 21 years. that they have not delivered on. And so we can't believe no more promises, because their promises are comfort to a fool. But I tell you that if Farley promises you something, he is giving you a word, because I believe that a man's word is his honor, and a man must keep his word. I told you on that Saturday night, just before the last election, 2 days before the election on January 25th, I told you that I was making a covenant with you. And that's because a covenant is more serious than a promise. For those of us who are biblical in nature, and Brother Watson told you last Wednesday that some of us are better at going to church. But for those who are biblical in nature, you will understand that covenants are serious issues. God does cut down man when he breaks his covenant. God requires that we don't be truce breakers. And so tonight we are about substance over hype. I've spoken to you before about some of our vision for agriculture. I spoke to you about my passion for education and how we can ensure our young people are better and competitive when it comes to comparing them with the rest of the world. I spoke to you about our need for a strong social contract. And in the week, Mr. Duke told you that even Farley could discipline him. Because in this party, it's not about how old you are. It's not about when you come to the party. It's not about who form it. But it is about Tobago winning all the time. Tobago must win. Tobago has to win. And tonight, I want to talk to you about the issue of housing and land management. And Mr. Duke spoke to you some weeks ago about the fact that this PDP party, and I want to start there, this PDP party is not coming here to cart away your land, to give it to some friends and family members, especially those that like to conveniently come upon the boat. There is bad talk in public, say we have a Tobago face, talk all kind of thing about we, and come at midnight and you're hearing that they get Tobago land. They don't want Tobago people, but they want Tobago land. Tobagonians got killed down on their land when they owned the land in Tobago because they didn't want Tobago fishermen to fish out at the beach next to the land they once owned. But today they want Tobago land. And in the dead of night, somebody will sign away 12 acres of your land to them. And I want to reiterate what Mr. Duke said, that Tobago lands are for Tobagonians first and foremost. And I will add to that, that those who are going to get the privilege of coming into Tobago to invest, Tobagonians and not outsiders, not a cabinet in Port of Spain, but Tobagonians at an executive council and at a THA that is located at number 1 Jerningham Street will decide who will come in and invest in Tobago, because this is your space. We will decide and we will manage foreign direct investments. And I will add, as we talk about how we will manage our lands, that we will give consideration to Tobagonians in the diaspora to return home. In fact, in 2017, if you go back to the PDP mandate in 2017, look how far away I'm going. 2017 is only recently, since they get a backlash from giving away your land, they start to say, well, we got to give a piece of land. And when you look at their requirements, you need almost $1 million to be able to invest in this agricultural scheme that they have. I know plenty of you here ain't get no $1 million because you ain't cashing no $41 million check for a 10-acre piece of land. You ain't get no $1 million sit down no way about that you could just pick up. And I'm saying that PDP is creating a kind of scheme for you Tobagonians at home and Tobagonians abroad that will ensure that lands are available to you so you can invest in your own island, so that you can develop your businesses, so you can live, so you can ensure that you employ others, so that we can have food security. We want to invest in you. We have to invest in you. And it's not about who rich and have money must have the first and only access. It must be all Tobagonians, whether you're rich or you're poor, whether you're in the middle or you're somewhere outside of the loop, you must have an opportunity too. And that's why PDP is the most and the only all-inclusive party in Tobago. For a long time, we have been challenged with the issue of public housing. I mean, last election, they laugh at poor Farley. You're still living downstairs, your parents' house. But I'm a living testimony that you could grow up in a birdhouse and walk in corridors built with concrete. Because how you are raised determines how far you will go. And so the Tobago I want us to build is a Tobago that will cater for all our people. Too much of our young professionals are migrating. They are leaving this place because there's a scarcity of opportunity. They are leaving here because they think they can't make a life and a living here. They can't afford homes here. And I started doing some investigation into what it will cost for you, a young professional, for anybody in Tobago to be able to afford a home. And as I look around all the real estate sites, I'm seeing on average a home costing at least 1.5 million. Most of us have not seen $1.5 million in our lifetime. Most of us ain't get the kind of savings to actually begin to attack that. Most people will not have even the 10% down payment required to begin to attract a mortgage for that kind of money. And so I went to the banks and I started asking around. I did not get around to all. And I asked the government bank first. Because of course, if the state wants to improve on your living conditions, the state has to use its services, its companies, its apparatus to ensure that you are facilitated. And I asked FCB, I said, but if I need a mortgage of $1.5 million and I'm 27 years old and I can pay that mortgage for 30 years with a retirement age at around 60 years old, what do you think my average salary must be? FCB told me that your average salary must be $27,000. And that is with a 10% down payment. I hear the old Lord. People holding their head and ball already. And if you have no down payment at all, your average salary will have to be $30,000. Well, I can tell you that not even your secretaries, save and except for the chief secretary, makes $30,000 a month. And that is to tell you how out of reach a mortgage might be for you, young professionals. I went to another one of my banks. I went to my good friends at RBC to get a quick estimate. And by the way, this is not even about talking of the banks, because the banks are doing what banks do in any capitalist environment. Make money. And with the absence of regulation and with the absence of the state and the central bank regulating this, you will continue to suffer. So the buck stops with the central government, not the banks. When I asked my friends at RBC, I said, tell me, what will it require? Same conditions. I was told, well, you need to have a salary of at least $25,166. So a little less per month, and that's for 30 years. And in order to qualify, and if you can't afford that, this banker went further. So if you can't afford that, and you want a piece of land, or you have piece of land and you want a little $500,000 thereabout, $596,000 for 30 years, you need a salary of $10,000. So in other words, to get $500,000, you need at least $10,000 per month as your salary. And so the question is, how do you afford to make a living? How many people on this island can afford to go on the open market and afford a house? We're talking about substance over hype. And every single year, you come with these budgets. You tell us how much houses you want to build. You want this amount of money. And yet we don't see the houses. We saw everything but houses. We see sign in tongue put up by the division in charge of settlement. I love Tobago, but you ain't see houses. You see a sign in Canaan, grammatically incorrect. And they're not even in Canaan, down at Cove, grammatically incorrect. The symbol for the airport will make you feel as though the airport there up in country. I guess the airport was really built by Watson in Roxborough. All sort of madness. We've seen signs left, right, and center, but no houses. Over the last 5 years, Tobago built not one single house for public distribution. That's an indictment on us. That is poor delivery. That is not even hype. That is not even old talk. That is just shoddy work. That is failure. That is a big F, a fat F. And that kind of failure should not be rewarded with 4 more years. And that's why I say to you, Tobago, don't vote for people whose promises never materialize. But vote for people who will stand in the gap for you and who will ensure with their blood, sweat, and tears you are delivered what needs to be delivered. In January, I told you about a new initiative we had called the Tobago Land and Housing Trust. Because we said to you in January that we need to change the model that we have. We now need a model where we can allow people access to homes at an affordable cost, and that system must be sustainable. In other words, we understand that the government in and of itself is limited. Resources are limited, and we could never build all the houses needed for the open market. We cannot. And so what has to happen is that we have to empower you to be able to afford a home. And this Land and Housing Trust will do just that. We will pump some money into this Land and Housing Trust over a period of time that will allow this Land and Housing Trust to build homes, to sell them back, to earn money, to lend money for people to buy homes even on the private market at a much more affordable rate than what the banks or even TTMF is affording you, so that you could actually afford a home. And this requires public-private partnerships. This requires that the real estate agents get on board. This requires that we pull all our resources together so you could afford a home. And for us as a THA, our focus on building homes must be for those who are truly low-income earners, those who really, really cannot afford to do the heavy lifting themselves, those who are differently abled, must also be considered among the lot. And it should not be, in fact, I'm telling you, it will not be, that when we start to prepare homes for public consumption, that secretaries come in, and on secretaries having a list, and on the list is mommy, is daddy, is brother, is sister, is auntie, is nenen, is godfather, is your neighbor dog, is all kind of people except those who truly deserve access to public housing. That has to change. And let me tell you, young women, I've heard too many stories, by the way. You will not have to put your backs on the ground to get a house from anybody, any day, anywhere in Tobago, because your dignity is more important to us. You'll die with your dignity. And so this Land and Housing Trust, we will put some money into it, which will afford it to lend money at preferential interest rates to contributors. And whether you are working in the public sector or the private sector, you can become a contributor to the Land and Housing Trust. This is by no means a totally novel idea. If you look across the region and look to Jamaica, for example, they have a housing trust. And workers contribute from their salary every month into the trust. And when a worker, whether they work in the public sector or the private sector, wishes to purchase a home, they go to the trust. They look at what they have in the trust. They look for a home, whether it's on the public market or the private market, and the trust, at a smaller interest rate than the banks, allow them to purchase a home of their liking and according to their pockets. How does that sound, Tobago? Wouldn't that assist you greatly in being able to afford a new home? We are also saying that one of the critical things that we have to look at is the issue of your titles for your land. And they tried recently to dangle that over our heads, to say to us, give up all your marine space, so we will give you the ability to create your own titles in the House of Assembly. So in other words, they wanted us to give up some of our patronage to be able to own another part of our heritage. That cannot be fair, and I'm saying it right now, that this coming Chief Secretary, Infali Chavez Agustin, will make it clear to Mr. Rowley down in Trinidad that Tobago wants it all, and we will get it all, because we are demanding what is justly and rightfully ours. We are demanding what is ours. And so, in the meantime, we will create a desk, as in an office, that will assist you in getting titles for your land. At the moment, it's a very tedious process. It is also a costly process, because you will have a lot of legal fees to pay. But we will hire the lawyers, have them on the payroll month to month, and put those young, bright lawyers who are nowhere to work on getting you the titles for your land. You must own your land. And let me tell you how important that is. Land is the base of productivity and production in any society. And when you don't own your land, someone else owns you. The land that granny and great granny leave for you, you must ensure you get it in your family name as soon as possible. Because you don't want another situation happening where they're moving like they're moving down Crown Point, and they start to tell you, I can't compensate you for your land. Although your navel string buried under calabash down there, they can't compensate you because they say I no title for your land. The deed not in your name. And I'm saying, let us fix that now. Whether they give us we autonomy now or not, we're fixing this now. Let me fix this now. Because you have to have an opportunity to own that which is yours. You have to have an opportunity to do that. And you have to have an opportunity to pass something on to your children. Unfortunately, my generation did not inherit as much as others. Because somewhere along the line, our parents did not get the wherewithal. We spoke to you also about the Susuland model. We spoke to you about that corporate model as another model we can use to ensure that you have access to land and housing. And us buying in partnership in bulk as a community, estates that are right here in Tobago. We have estates here in Tobago just growing in bush. The owners have no use for it. The owners ain't interested in coming back here. The owners ain't have no money to develop it. The owners ain't pay their taxes for donkey years for the land. And those are prime real estate that we can use in the collective to ensure that you have a roof over your head. And I'm saying to you tonight, Tobago, that this is a kind of substance over hype that we must believe in. Don't let nobody who in power for 21 years come now all of a sudden to tell you how much thousands of people they will give land to. What happened over the last 21 years? Land management is under the office of the Chief Secretary. All it takes is approval from the Exec Council and you could have get the same land they're promising you now. Why you think after you vote for them they will give you that piece of land? If they ain't give it in the past, you're applying, you're sending proposal, you're taking time and you're doing budget, you're bringing accountants to help you, you write all kind of fancy story, you email them, you're dropping a hard copy, you call, you're short by an administrator's office, and most of us can't get even a response, an acknowledgement to say we receive your proposal. So why do you think that now they will give you something? And the biggest trick of all is that you applied for public housing donkey years ago. You submit all your paperwork. You submit all your credentials. You do your pre-qualification for your loan, all sort of stuff. And then out of the blue, you receive a phone call, a phone ring, pling, pling, pling. You pick up the phone. It's a nice sounding lady from the Division of Settlements coming to tell you, come and update your file because we are approving you for housing. And I'm asking, but where the house there? You're not building none in 5 years, but you're calling people for house. Where are you putting them to stay? I don't know. Maybe they plan to offer us the house down in Grange or wherever it is. Maybe they plan to offer us one of the big shot houses that they build, probably built with your money. And I'm saying, do not be fooled. All mutual funds are not the same. And so in this election, you have to vote for something that is credible and something that will work for you. Because our strategic priority is that we should have more land and houses available at a lower cost for contributors, for Tobagonians. Our strategic purpose is that young people, middle-aged people, people in the diaspora who are Tobagonians that want to come back home and contribute must have some access to land and or housing. Our strategic purpose is to employ performance-oriented technical teams to deploy modern land and housing development technology and to modernize financial technologies so that you can actually afford a home. Our strategic purpose is sustainable business efficiency and viability through performance and relevance while achieving the development mandates. Our strategic purpose is emphasis on customer service and positive worker attitudes for community development, because our ultimate strategic goal is so that a Tobago under PDP is a Tobago that you will enjoy, is a Tobago that you will love, is a Tobago that you can actually find a house to rest your head in. You should not have to bunk by somebody. And perhaps I should shock you now by telling you that some of the abuse that Tobagonians experience and continue to tolerate in the places where they live, because they can't even call some of these places homes, exists because many of you do not have the opportunity to become independent. Many of you are forced to continue living with abusers and to keep your mouth shut because you can't afford nothing else. Many of you mothers, you want to pick up your children, you want to pick up your daughter and run, but you have nowhere to run. You have nowhere to run, and so long you're begging and writing and nobody taking you on. Some of you young men, you're at war with siblings, you're at war with fathers, and you understand that two men that can't live in the same house, or you're fighting, and you're trying to become independent, and you can't be independent because your THA is not empowering you. And I'm saying to you tonight, this is about empowering you to live your best life right here in Tobago. Because you deserve better. You deserve better than this. And that's why since 2017 I have been at this. And it's not because I'm looking for a house for myself. Because it matters not to me whether I live in Lowlands or I live in Speyside. I will be the same Farley in Lowlands as I am in Speyside. So this is not about me at all. And if you have been following me, you know that at some time soon I will get married to some beautiful woman who I'm already engaged to. And likelihood is that we could both pool our salaries together and perhaps it will meet the high demands of the bank so we could face a mortgage. But everyone isn't that fortunate. Everyone will not have that opportunity. And a young professional should not have to get married in order to afford a home. You should not have to put your salary with somebody else in order to afford it. You should be able to have a pathway on your own. And this is for many of you Tobagonians who have been selling yourself short, and you're wondering why, like me, you still live home, but you're still voting PNM. How could you do that? You're wondering why you are there squeezed up like sardine with the extended family, witnessing all kinds of abuse and can't leave, but you're still voting PNM. Don't be wicked to yourself. Rescue yourself. Rescue yourself. None but ourselves can free ourselves. Rescue ourselves. And tonight you heard it from Brother Niall. This is an inclusive party. So it matters not whether you're on the sidelines, whether you're on the front side, or whether you're backslide from another party. Come on the inside with the PDP. Because we have a place for you. We have a place for you. And I want to tell you tonight that this Tobago Land and Housing Trust and all that I've explained to you is not designed for PDP supporters only. And I know some of you might cuss me after we win on December 6th, because some of us in Tobago believe that when you win, somebody gave us this nasty political culture that it must be a winner's take all situation. I believe in being graceful in victory. And I believe that what we must set up is a government for all the people of Tobago, including those who were ill-advised to go down to Shaw Park earlier this evening. You too, I am preparing for you, because one of my favorite stories is that of the prodigal son. And you know what I like about that story? And whether you believe in the Bible or not, I just want you to take this story and the object lessons for what it is. This man had 2 sons, and one decided to take his inheritance early, and he gone away in red and riotous living. He ended up finding himself in a pigsty, considering to eat pig food, to eat pig ration, because he had wasted all that he had. Kind of song familiar, no so? It kind of song like some people that we gave a rich inheritance to, and they destroy all of it on red and riotous living. It sounds very familiar. And this young man, when he was at his lowest, he remembered, but you know, I have some people who have some things. I have a father who still have some things. And although I waste away all that he had for me, maybe I could go back there and become a servant. Because even the servants in my father's house are better treated and eating better than how I eating in the pigsty. And so he decided to go back home. And as he came home, there were 2 different reactions. The father saw him afar off. Am I correct, Pastor Baines? Yes. The father saw him in the distance, and the father grabbed a coat and ran to his son, placed a robe over him, a ring on his finger, and welcomed his son back home. The son, by contrast, the other brother by contrast, he was upset. Where come back here for? You waste everything away. You throw away everything. What you're doing here. But why am I telling you this story tonight on this good Sunday evening? I know most of you went to church earlier today. And I know I am not the pastor you want. I am the politician you need. But I may not be the pastor you want. But why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because we have to change the political culture in Tobago to one where we can embrace and welcome back home even those who wasted away our heritage in red and riotous living. We have to fix Tobago for them too. And so on December 6th, in fact, as of midnight, on that morning of December the 7th, we will be waiting with robe and ring for you. And we will be welcoming home every prodigal son and every prodigal daughter. And we'll be saying to you, rock and come in. Let us fix Tobago. Let me fix this. Let me fix Tobago and make it a better place. Because the Tobago I dream of is a Tobago where you can afford to live. Is a Tobago where you can afford a home. Is a Tobago where you can afford a piece of land. Is a Tobago where you can live with a nice view. And it should not only be once in a while when you save up some money to go buy some rich man's house to rent a villa. You should be able to live like that on a daily basis. This is Tobago. You should have granite countertops in your kitchen too. You should have nice things in your house too. You should have garage to drive in and a car to drive in the garage. You must have a nice white picket fence too. You must be able to plant neat rows of palm trees in front of your yard too. Because you deserve a good living on the island of Tobago. And under PDP, you won't have to run from here to get that kind of living. You won't have to migrate to make a living and then come back to retire in Tobago. And so, Tobago tonight, despite all the noises you hear, I am confident that with your help, we could fix this. And with your help, we could make Tobago the greatest little island on the planet. So let us work together. We have just 3 to 4 weeks remaining. Let us work together. Let us fix this. Let me fix this. Let me fix this. Let me fix this place and make Tobago great. Thank you, Tobago. Love you, Tobago. Have a good Sunday evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce that we have had another successful installation of the workshop here in this place. Make some noise, make some noise. We want to thank all of you for coming. We want to thank all of you for viewing. We want to thank all the presenters. God bless you and good night.
The fisherman, the farmer, lift Tobago, lift Tobago.
It's time to take